Welcome to another exciting episode of Unraveling Intellectual Property with Michael Stein. Today, I am pleased to have Khloe McDonough, one of my spring 2026 interns. Uh, she's going to interview me. Then part two, I'm going to interview her. Today, we're going to be talking about the intersection of medicine and intellectual property, particularly relating to insulin. Uh, Chloe, you've done a great job, and you're doing a great job. It's been a pleasure having you aboard. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I am a senior at the University of Florida. I'm actually graduating in 5 days or so this Saturday.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
I'll be getting my bachelor's in economics, and I've spent my last semester here in DC. I started in January, end of January, and we're wrapping it up this week, and it's been a wonderful experience working in the office with you and working in DC. Afterwards, I plan to go home back to Miami, and I'm going to take a gap year, continue studying for the LSATs, getting those applications in, and hopefully going to law school.
Sounds like a great plan. Let's start with insulin. What is it? Tell us a little bit of background. Everyone's heard of it, but a
Mhm.
lot of people don't know exactly what it is, even though it's so instrumental in so many Americans' health.
It is, yeah. Well, for this I guess, topic. We're relating it specifically to type 1 diabetics. So, type 1 diabetics use it for, because type 1 diabetics have an autoimmune disease where they no longer produce the hormone insulin. So, they need to manually inject it themselves, whether that's through manual, multiple daily injections through pens or new devices like insulin pumps, which are a little more modern and in use today.
Which organ generally produces insulin?
That's the pancreas.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm sorry, continue.
No. Um, Sometimes it's confused with type 2. That's a
Yeah.
little different. Type 2 is insulin resistant. They still have, their pancreas has the ability to produce insulin. So that's kind of the difference, just in case people didn't know. But yeah, that's pretty much what insulin is to type 1 diabetics, at least.
And there's been so much in the news about the expense. I mean, it seems like, given the price, it would almost seem like it was just invented
Hmm.
a couple of years ago. Tell us the history, the background of discovery of insulin.
Yeah, so insulin was actually discovered in 1921, so it's a century-old
Wow.
medicine. And it was discovered by a surgeon named Frederick Banting and his assistant Charles Best. And they removed insulin from a dog's pancreas and injected it into another dog with diabetes. They kept that dog alive for 70 days. And it was until some other colleagues, their names J.B. Collip and John McLeod, I hope I'm saying their names right. They helped out and they
I'm
re
guessing they won't be around to complain about
no, I guess not.
it.
But they refined the insulin, and they actually got this one out of the pancreas of a cattle. And then in 1922, there was a 14-year-old boy who had or was dying from diabetes, and he was the first person to get an injection of insulin. And within 24 hours, immediately his blood sugars went from dangerously high to normal. And so after this, they sold the patent to the University of Toronto, which is where they were, operating their labs. And they sold it to them for $1. And that is because they believed that life-saving medication should be affordable and accessible. And one of the discoverers, Banting, quoted that insulin does not belong to me, it belongs to the world. So that was, their thoughts on that. But um, unfortunately, I believe, unfortunately, the University of Toronto eventually licensed that patent to other pharmaceutical companies like Lilly, and that was because they were unable to proceed with mass production. And immediately after that, by 1923, or the price of insulin has increased, and it became the highest selling product in Lilly's history, and it accounted for over half of the company's revenue. So from there, it just went up.
Okay, but I'm a little curious. What's the role of the pharmaceutical companies versus the healthcare managers? And by this time, it has to be off patent, but maybe we'll hold off on the patent part until you get to the initial cost part.
hmm So, yeah, after that was transferred or licensed to these pharmaceutical companies, they've kind of monopolized over the market and the role of pharmacy benefit managers, which I'll refer to as PBMs. They're essentially the middleman between drug manufacturers and these insurance companies. Examples of those are CVS, Express Scripts, those are the top PBMs. And they encourage a lot of high list prices and negotiating rebates, which of course a portion goes to them. So that's what encourages those rebates, and they dictate the formulary design or the tiered list of insulin products that a health plan covers. So these PBMs influence the out-of-pocket costs that patients may incur depending on their plan, whether the PBMs decide to list high or low prices for their specific pharmacy and plan. And this is also referred to as like spread pricing, charging the patients more for the drug they pay so the pharmacy can pocket that extra money. But there is just a big lack of transparency in the way they operate. They have a lot of hidden fees and they've gotten in trouble with the FTC. There's been a lot of investigations happening there. Um, there's actually been a recent landmark settlement this year within the last 2 months with Express Scripts and CVS Caremark, which are the two PBMs. And it was over allegations that they artificially inflated insulin prices through anti-competitive rebate practices. And I guess they settled. They settled. The PBMs agreed to make business changes and lower their patient insulin costs by 7 billion over the course of 10 years. But I think thankfully the FTC is doing a little bit more than just making settlements with those PBMs. They're also going to the root of the problem by challenging over 200 improper patent listings, including those related to insulin and diabetes. And these listings are in the Orange Book, which is an official register of the approved drug products. And the FTC complained that the companies were listing patents for drug delivery devices instead of the actual drug itself.
So
So,
is that, I mean, because insulin's
mhm.
clearly gone off patent decades and decades ago. Why aren't a bunch of the generics jumping in, or are they patenting the delivery systems and what's evergreening? If you could explain all
Yes.
that.
So, yeah, what it is patents usually last for, or at least pharmaceutical patents usually only last for 20 years or so. And the way that these companies are getting around that is through evergreening and patent thickets. So evergreening is essentially where these companies make patents or they keep their patents going because, or make multiple patents once the initial one expires by making small changes to their formulas or, making a medicine a pill rather than something else. Just all these small changes that just pile up. And that makes it harder for generics to enter the market because they just have so many things to compete with. And that goes into the patent thicket where it's just multiple different types of patents associated with that one invention or medicine, where it's just a lot harder for them to come in because there's just so many things for them to challenge.
Okay. And with that comes the policy of, there was a decision back, I think it was 2013 with Myriad, which was on patent eligibility and on diagnostics. And the question was diagnostics, should they be patentable? And so there's always a debate, and we're not going to solve it here,
Hmm
about the incentive to uh, invest money and time and the risk involved. I mean, it costs literally hundreds of millions, if not billions, to go through the FDA process,
hmm
the risk involved. But of course, if it is successful, the billions that these companies make, I know you don't have a legal background, but Any general thoughts on how we can navigate this?
Well, I guess it comes down to whether you think insulin should be patented. I don't think so. I think it's something that is no longer innovative or new in technology. It's so cheap to produce as well. Um, I think there should be a little more government involvement with that. There has been a lot of recent um,
Yeah,
legislative
it went from
involvement.
like 30 or $40 to $10 or something. I'm not
Mhm.
familiar with the pricing.
They have certain plans, of course, if you qualify for them, that have
Yeah.
capped the
Okay.
insulin prices per month at 35.
All right.
Both state regulation, state healthcare plans, and then also the companies themselves, like Lilly has also offered plans like that. But it's still pretty pricey for those with private insurance. There's actually something going on right now. It's called, I think, the Insulin Act, and insulin is actually an abbreviation for something, and that's being proposed. It's like a bipartisan trying to cap out-of-pocket costs for $35 a month.
Yeah, we talk about transparency. Sometimes I go in and the pharmacy says I owe $1.12.
Hmm.
And at one time I got this little vial and they wanted to charge me $1,200. I said no. And then I went back, it was $116. And then, oh, there's zero transparency. You have no idea what's on patent, what's not on patent, even if it's off patent, how these prices come in.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. Well, we're not going to solve the problem today. Any closing thoughts on this topic?
Um, I guess I just believe that insulin should be free for everyone, as the discoverers and inventors originally intended it to be.
And
As a type 1 diabetic myself, I'm very passionate about that.
all right. Well, thank you for tuning in to my audience. Thank you, Chloe, for the podcast. Thank you for being part of the internship. We wish you all the best. For everyone, until next time, take care.